Okay, so what is happening here is the following. First, you know, when the springs are unstretched, what is the value of D? And if you look at your figures, I said that the total length of the cable is 4 meters. And each part is 1 meter. BC is 1, CD is 1, etc. Okay? So D represents the distance from A to C. What can be the maximum distance between A and C?
2.
2. Okay? So when you have 2 meters, this means that B and D are on the same location. And if I want to
Okay.
illustrate the initial position, you have C was up, okay? You have cable CB, and it is in the vertical position equal to 1 meter. And you have also cable BA in the vertical position with 1 meter, okay? And then this is A here. So you can say that D and B at this initial position are, if you want, at the same location. Yani they are coincident here. So this is D. Okay? Now, they said that at this position, you have that the springs are unstretched. Okay? This means that what will be, you need to know what is the length of your spring. Okay? Because you need to know what was here. They told you the value of the stretching. Okay, so initially when we had this position, you have all springs were at L0. Okay, so this spring was at L0, and this spring also was at L0, because in this case they said that the springs were unstretched. Now, what will happen when C, when we will go from this position to this one? Okay, what will happen is that B and D will go one to the right, one to the left. Okay, while what will happen to C and D? C will move down, okay, and A will move up. And they said that between the two positions, the stretching is 300 millimeters. This means that now, okay, C moved downward 0.3 meters, and A moved up 0.3 meters. So you can deduce, if you want, what is the new distance. I'll put it in a new color. So what is the new distance between, I will call this C0, initial position. This is the actual position C now, okay? And this position was A0. And now this is the actual position A. So you will use this information, the information given in this problem will allow you to calculate what is D now. Because at the initial state, what was A0, C0? What was the distance between A and C initially?
1.
1 plus 1, لأنه you have
2.
2.
Yes.
Exactly, 2 meters. Okay. Now, they said each of the springs is stretched 300 millimeters. So you reduced the distance of 2 meters, 0.3 meter from this side and 0.3 meter from this side. So the new value of AC is 2 minus 0.6. Okay, so the new value of AC, which is D here, D is equal to 1.4. Okay,
Yes.
this is how they found D. And why you need D? Because without D, you cannot calculate the angle. So you need
صح.
D to find your angle. Okay,
Okay.
clear?
Yes. بس بعدين
Yes.
محطوط تحت بس عملنا sum of forces at D.
Yeah.
you see the correction. ما
Yeah.
فهمت شو صار.
Yeah. Here?
ايه at
Okay.
D ليش عملنا أول شيء sum of forces of X مش تبع الواي؟
Okay. Look, First, how should we think in this case? Look, you need to determine the weight of the block, صح?
صح.
So let us start from the block. For the block, you have the following. You have the weight, mg, okay? And you need to determine this mass. So you can start to say, let me do the analysis first. What is happening in this cable? What is the tension in this cable at equilibrium condition?
مش هي هاد تنشن it is equal للتنشن تبع بي سي والتنشن تبع بي اي؟
No, no. This cable,
ليش؟
okay? لأنه this
إيه.
cable is different than this one. Wholly separate cables, Thierry.
اوكي
Okay?
بس هيدا عم يحمل هول الاثنين مش هيك؟
إيه بس أنت انتبه بدك تمشي بالاناليسز body by body. Start with the block. The block is subjected to a weight mg. What should be the tension in the cable here? To have equilibrium of the
equal
block.
equal للويت.
Exactly. Equal للويت. هلا, this cable is the same one. And since pulleys are massless and frictionless, you have the same tension over the cable. So now, when you take the second pulley at B as a system here, so when you take equilibrium of point B, what are the forces acting on B? You have the force to the left, which is equal to the tension in this cable, and you can say it's mg. Okay? And from the other side, you have to cut at two locations, but this is the same cable, same tension. So you can say that we have T and T, same magnitude.
صح.
Okay, or same angle كمان by symmetry. So you have now, if you project along X, what can you find? You can find a relation between T and M. Okay, but you have two unknowns, so one equation is not enough. When you write the equilibrium at point B in X direction, you can just relate the mass to the tension. But you have two unknowns, M and T, so you need to get T from another analysis. That's why you move or to point A or to point C. Okay, why not D? Because by symmetry for B and D, it's the same analysis. Now, if you go to A and you want to draw the forces acting on A, what do you have? You have first the spring force, okay? Since your spring is stretched, so the force of the spring on A will be downward. So this is F spring. And you know the value of F spring because you know the stretching. Thierry, do you hear me now? Thierry? Thierry, do you hear me now again?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I had a connection issue. Yeah, I will share the screen again. Okay. So now, when you move to point A, okay, you have that the spring is doing a force downward on A because it's stretched, and this force is equal to K delta L. Okay, while you have from the other side the tensions in cable AD and AB. Okay, Thierry, I'm trying to change my location for better connection. 1 minute, okay?
معلش.
Yellow, 1 minute. Okay, I think it's better here.
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying, now you need to get the tension T. You need to go to another point. That's why you can think about A or C, because you have the symmetry between A and C. So if you go to A, you have the force of the spring, since your spring is stretched. So you have K delta L here. And because, as we said, it's the same cable, so if you do a cut at this level or at this level, you have the same tension. So you have T and T here. Okay. Now,
Yes.
which equation will give you the tension here? Sum of x or sum of y?
هون sum of y.
On sum of y لأنه in x you have symmetry, the two tension projection will cancel out. Okay.
Yes.
When you write sum of y, your only unknown in this case is t, because you already got your angle. You get t from this equation and then you
صح.
replace back in the first equation to get theta. Okay.
اوكي. انا بلشت فيها بالقلب.
It's not a problem. You can start in the reversed way. If you start from A, you get T. And once you get T, you should go to B. You cannot say that T is equal to the weight because it's not the same cable. You have two different cables here, one attached to the block and the other connecting the four pulleys.
اوكي. Thank you,
Okay.
doctor.
Welcome.
Thank
Other question?
في حدا I think عنده question.
Saria? Saria, do you hear me? If you want, you can continue until someone else asks. If you have more questions.
Yes.
You want me to scroll down to another problem?
انا عم شوف دكتور بشابتر 2 تبع ريفيو بروبلمز تبع شابتر 2.
Okay, يلا 1 minute. Let me open it.
ببروبلم 6.
يلا okay.
And
Yes, Saria. Yeah, just 1 second, Saria. I will just open review problems of chapter 2 and get back to you, okay?
اوكي بس ما كان عم يزبط المايك من هيك.
Okay, fine. I can hear you now. Okay, Thierry, I opened oh, it's chapter 4. 1 second. Sorry, 1 second.
Problem 7.
Okay, yes.
Problem 7.
Problem 7?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
دكتور انا فهمت كل شيء بس
Okay.
اول شيء ضاعت كيف اول شيء طلعت اف 3
Yeah.
لانه الريزلتنت مش هو على زد فبس عندي زد كومبوننت فالاكس والواي كومبوننت راحوا بس ما عرفت كيف طلعنا اكس والواي.
Okay, look. The F resultant will not have a component along, they said that F resultant is along Z, صح?
Yes.
So FR is equal and directed from B to O. So FR as a vector is minus 1000K. FR vector, okay, is minus 1000K. But F1, F2, F3 will have components along X and Y. But the resultant, when you sum F1X plus F2X plus F3X, they should be zero because the resultant will not have a component along I. So the technique is as follows. First, you find the expression of each of your vectors, F1, F2, and F3. Okay? For F1, F2, it's very simple. You have the magnitude, you have all coordinates. Your only problem is with F3. You don't know anything about F3. You have the magnitude unknown, and you have also the direction unknown because a point A, they didn't give you for point A, X and Y. So look, what you can do is simply to say the following. You say, I will express F1 vector I know it completely. I will express
Okay.
F2 vector also, I know it completely. My only problem is with F3, and I have three
Okay.
unknowns with it. So what will be, you can say, let me put that F3 is equal to F3xi. Thierry, did you attend the last session we did on campus?
Yes بس انا كان
Okay.
عندي سؤال
Did you understand what we did? No, or you
Yes.
had a problem with the explanation?
لا فهمت
Okay.
هون بس
شو
بس
المصدر؟
ضاعت بس
Okay.
فهمت كلها بس ما
Okay.
عارف كيف عملنا انه F3 Z it is equal ل F3 over R.
اوكي رح ارجع اعيدها. اول شيء فهمت انه when we write the system f1 plus f2 plus f3 equal fr we will be able to get f3x, f3y and f3z. Did you understand this?
Yes.
Okay, great. طيب, next step. So let us consider now that you know what is f3x, f3y and f3z. Okay, we know these values. Next
Okay.
step, we need to express them function of our unknowns. What are the unknowns that we have? If we go back to our figure, okay, we know about F3 the magnitude. We don't know the magnitude, and we don't know also. So the first unknown is the magnitude of F3. And the other two unknowns are the coordinates of point A. So you don't know X of A, and you don't know Y of A. You just know that A is on plane XY. So if you want to put coordinates of A, you have to put A, X,
Y
Y, 0. Okay?
Okay.
Now, for point B, okay, you know coordinates completely. So for point B, you can say it's along Z only. So 0, 0. And D, what is D? 3. Okay?
Okay.
Great. So now, what you will have to do is just to write F3, since you have 2 points. Okay? So F3 vector is equal to F3 magnitude, which is unknown, okay, times
Yes.
unit vector of BA.
Okay.
Okay.
طلع
Now,
لي هون انت of X و Y.
exactly, هني function of X and Y. Okay. هلا why we start from the third component? Because when you will write your vector BA, let us write it. Okay. So you have F3 times. You take X of B minus X of A minus X of B. So it's X along I plus Y along J.
-3.
And minus 3 along K. Okay? So as
Yeah.
you can see, already along the X component, Y component, you have XY as unknown. While for K component, you have a number. Okay? Over what? Over the radical.
R.
I called it
Yeah.
R. يعني radical X square plus Y square plus 3
Yes.
square. Okay? So
Okay.
because here I have, if I want to compare first X equation, Y equation, I have two unknowns. And if I start to say, let me start with I component, I will have F3 times X over R. Okay. And for Y, you have F3 times Y over R. While the last one is, you have less unknown for the last term. So this is why it's good to start from the comparison in Z. Even if you didn't notice this, it's not a problem. You write your three equations, then you will know from where to start. Okay. So if we compare along Z, what can we write? We can write that F3 in Z is equal to -3 times F3 over R. And this F3 over R will be repeated in all of your equations. So it's good to find this ratio. This equation will allow you to calculate F3 over R. And once you know what is F3 over R, no need to know them separately. You don't want to solve for F3 alone and R alone. You need to know the ratio between them. Because once you get F3 over R, you can move to your X equation. In X equation, what can you write? You can write that F3 component in X is equal to F3 over R, and you already calculated F3 over R from your last equation. You replace it, okay? F3 over R times what? times x.
X.
What will be the only unknown in this equation now?
الإكس.
The x. You get x. Then you move to the second equation. Similarly, what will be your unknown? Y.
Y.
And once you got the values of x and y, now you can go back to your radical, because now you are able to calculate your radical. Since x and y are already determined, then your only unknown in this equation will be f3. You get f3.
اوكي.
دكتور فيك تعيدي هون لأنه أنا وصلت على الإيكويشنز بس علقت ما عرفت لاقي F3 over R.
Okay, Saria. And if you write your equation, Saria, okay, you have three equations. The first one, what will be the first one? F3x, okay, equals to F3 times x over R, okay? This is equation number one. If you move to equation two, what do you have? You have F3y equals to F3 over R times what now? Times y. Okay? And finally, your last equation is F3z equals to minus 3 times F3 over R. So what can you deduce, Saria? F3 over R is a term that is common for the three equations, okay? And the last equation will allow you to calculate it, because look, in the last equation, this is a constant that you know, and F3z is already calculated from the equation F1 plus F2 plus F3 equals to the resultant. So now you know F3z, and you know this term. The only unknown is the ratio F3 over R. You can calculate from this equation F3 over R. Okay, so now you can replace this ratio in equation 2. If you do this and you know F3y, you can get y. You do the same in the first equation. You replace F3 over R by its value, and you have F3x from your vectorial analysis, the previous analysis, you get x. And now, once you have x and y, you can go back to F3 over R. Because what is F3 over R? Okay, it's radical x squared plus y squared. And you have F3 over radical x squared plus y squared plus 3 squared equal to a certain number. Now x and y are not unknown anymore. This will allow you to calculate your radical. Once you have your radical, the only unknown will be the magnitude of F3 you find.
بس دكتور نحن الفاليو تبع F3 زاد كيف جبناهم؟
جبناها سارية من أول equation. What is the condition in this problem? They told you the summation of the three forces, the resultant of the three forces is directed from B towards O, okay? And you have everything about F1. You have the coordinates of points and magnitudes. يعني F1 is completely, F1 vector is completely known. F2 vector is also completely known. And your resultant vector is known. The only unknown is vector F3. يعني you can write that what is F3 vector.
يعني دكتور بس سؤال يعني F1 زاد plus F2 زاد plus FR زاد هن يعني إذا عملنا
صح. يعني أنت the first equation is the following. The first equation is F1x plus F2x plus F3x equals to 0 because your resultant has no component along I. It has only component along Z. Okay.
يعني
so
أنا هون في حط F1x plus F2x وارجع الاقي F3x منهم.
Exactly. مظبوط.
يعني
رح تحطي equal to F resultant in X. But F resultant in X is 0 because they said the resultant is directed from B towards O. So the resultant will only have K components. This is 0. You know F1x, you know F2x, you get F3x.
يعني إذا كانت F1x plus F2x 400 بتطلع F2x moins 400 بس هيك؟
100%. Yes, exactly.
من هون أنا هون ما لقيت values من هيك علقت بالequations. يعني بس طلع لي equations ما طلع
اوكي،
لي value.
انت ما قدرت جبتي F1 و F2 ساريا؟
لا لا انا ما فكرت فيها هيك، فكرت انه ما لي حق اكتبهم، ما انه
كيف ما قدرت؟
كتبتهم بس ما كتبت الفالور تبعها.
اوكي ليك، انت the first step is to identify what you know and what you don't know. F3 is the only vector unknown. You have everything about all other vectors. Okay?
اوكي
So you can
يعني لي
say,
حق.
since I don't know anything about F3, let me calculate the components of F3, F3x, F3y, and F3z. I just write the vectorial equation. So to be able to find my unknowns, I should find what is vector F1 first, what is vector F2, and vector FR I already know it because it's from B to O يعني along minus K, whose magnitude is 1000. So you can write that FR vector is just equal to minus 1000 along K.
يس اوكي فهمتها، ميرسي.
Okay.
دكتور
نعم.
يعني من ورا اليونت فاكتور، يعني بس اعمل الماجنتيود تايمز يونت فاكتور بيطلع لي
Yes.
اكس كومبوننت واي كومبوننت وانه جي كومبوننت كي كومبوننت.
أكيد
بس
كلهم
اذا عندي
كلهم.
اكس،
Yes.
اذا عندي الاكس والواي والكي، فعندي اف اوف اكس اف اوف واي واف اوف كي، مش هيك؟
انت yes يعني انت if you know the unit vector or you know the components, okay, this will lead at the end to express your vector as three components, one in I, one in J, one in K.
اه
Okay.
اوكي، فهون طلع لي كل الاف 1 اكس اف 2 اكس، بس بلاقي اف 3 اكس من ورا الايكويشن تبع
صح
الريزلت. اه
صح.
اوكي. اه اوكي،
exactly
فهيك جبنا اف 3 زد اوكي اوكي فهمت.
exactly
ما فيك
exactly
ما فيك ما تقولي لي عن
ورجعنا من بعد ما جبنا F3X F3Y F3Z لأنه نحن ال unknowns هن related to the unit vector. We expressed vector F3 as magnitude F3 times unit vector BA. So now you expressed your vector function of your three unknowns, which are the magnitude and X and Y.
اوكي.
الدكتور على طول حتعطينا تروا دي كاتر، ما هيك يعني ما فيك مثلا ما تعطينا ريزلت.
هو سارية فينا اعمل حيلا combination. انت you should
ايه
understand
بس
the idea. If I give
اوكي
you a problem of equilibrium, what is your vectorial equation? Sum of forces equals zero. If I tell you you have several forces and this is the resultant, you
فيك
start
تقولي
by
لي.
writing sum of forces equal F resultant. Next
اوكي
step, you express each of your forces, okay? And you identify your unknowns. In general, in 3D, you will have three unknowns. So you need to write, this problem is a little bit more complex because first we got F3X, F3Y, F3Z because they are easy to determine. And then we related them to X, Y, and F3. Okay?
يس اوكي.
بس انت كان فيك from the beginning to replace F3X, F3Y, F3Z by their expressions. مش غلط. You can do this. بس I did it in
اوكي
2 steps for you to understand better.
اوكي ديل. والدكتور عندي سؤال صغير بالبروبلم 8.
Yes. Same chapter.
يس.
Yes.
انا هون بس بالتريانجل تبعي بدلتهم، يعني محل ما حط بي وتي هيك وقت
ايه
رسمت بالقلب، يعني طلع لي هن بالفاليوز تبعهم البي هي التي تبعي، بيأثر؟
اكيد بيأثر. بدك تشوفي بتكون اوكي فيك look I will allow you to annotate لأنه أنت كيف ما رسمت التراينجل you should get the same result. يعني if you started with
يعني انا البي مثل ما هي هون
اوكي
ورسمت التي سكرتها على الاف 1
خليني أشوف. أنت بلشتي من هون.
وطلعت على البي
اوكي
عادي،
طلعتي على البي عادي. this is P.
بعدين نزلت على الاف 1.
مزبوط. لازم you should get the same result. مش مفروض يكونوا مقلوبين معك.
لا بس يعني انا حطيت بي سور ساين اوف 90 لانه قالوا لنا سمول
خلينا
سكوير.
لحظة، خلينا نمشي ستيب باي ستيب أنا وياك. اوكي
اوكي
أنت بأول بارت هني شو بدهم تكون they want P to be minimum صح؟
يس.
اوكي تتكون P minimum مين بده يكون بدها يعني if I draw again the triangle على كبير شوي. This is the magnitude F1. I know it's equal to 80. اوكي انت
يس
الانجل تتا 1 هو this one صح ساريا؟ يعني هو بين
مزبوط.
التي will 80. So this is your T. And this angle here is 30 صح؟
Yes.
Okay. انت مين بدك يكون minimum P or T؟
البي.
P. So for P to be a minimum, the shortest distance from a point to a line is what? It's perpendicular. صح؟
Oui.
Okay. So this is P. This is P. And this is 60. انت انتبهتي مش تكوني قلبة الانجلز؟
قلبة الانجلز.
منشان هيك غلط.
اوكي ديل.
اوكي.
انا بس بسكرها هيك وبحطهم يعني ما فيها شيء.
بس انتبهي انه هيدا الانجل 30 is alternating with this one. Holy two alternating angles. So this is 30 and this is 30. And then this will be 60, not 30.
اوكي جي. بعد عندي سؤال بهالشابتر.
Yes.
بالبروبلم 6 اللي عملناه بالصف.
Yes.
انا انه ما كثير عم بفهم ليش يعني ليه عملنا ساين كوساين انه.
اوكي.
اي متى بدي اعمل ساين كوساين؟
اوكي. لانه look انت in this method you project first on a plane. يعني انت اذا بدك تخيلي you have a vector in 3D وعملتي له projection على البلين XY. يعني as a first step you got this line. Okay. بس is this line a component along X or Y شيء؟ This one. لحظة بس تاخذ البلان.
فبعمل projection على البلين بعدين بعمل projection على
exactly. يعني انت you are projecting first on the plane and in another step you are projecting on the two axes.
هيدي بس ما يكون عندي انه لاقي الانجل لانه غير هيك ما رح عاوز اعمل
هيدي بس يكون عندك two angles. يعني انت you have several ways to define a vector. بدك تشوفي هن شو عاطينك. If they gave you the angles with the axis directly, يعني if you look at F2 they gave you directly the angles one with Z and one with Y. Okay. يعني they directly projected on axis, while for F1 they first projected on plane XY, then they gave you an angle to project